Turn It On, the Level 42 fan podcast, is in no way affiliated with the band. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are solely the speaker's own.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Turn It On, the Level 42 fan podcast. We're here with our typical trio from here in the U.S., here to talk the time away with all things Level 42, the greatest group ever to walk planet Earth. Mr. Mikey Payne, please welcome and say hello.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be with you guys again.
And Mr. Winston Walker, Windman with many faces and many names, welcome and say hello.
Hello. How's everybody? Good to be back.
Good to talk to you, Win. And I'm Bob Considine, also saying hello to all the Level 42 fans out there, both past, current, and future from all over the world. As we say every episode, we very much appreciate you being here, and your likes and listens and follows are always appreciated. Guys, good to talk to you. I think we should get right to it. As we've done this podcast, I've often felt tempted to use that somewhat cliched moniker of this week, on a very special episode of Turn It On, we have the following guest. But today, I'm not going to hold back on this because this is a very special episode of Turn It On. Our guest is someone who is always referred to very positively among Level 42 fans on the boards and on the forum. She's a great singer. She was with the band from really the height of their commercial powers, and she fit in perfectly with their sound. Yet, I don't think there's a whole lot known about how she joined Level 42 as a backup singer, what she thought of her time in the band, and her very varied past work that led her to Level 42, the gigs she's had after Level 42, and what she's up to lately. So I think we're in store for a very interesting conversation today with the very lovely and patient Miss Annie McCaig. Annie, thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
So, Annie, this is Bob, Mikey, and Winston. Really want to join you. Thank you for joining us today. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a big treat.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the mystery woman we were always wondered about.
Yeah. And you're in Scotland right now, Annie?
I am, yes. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Edinburgh.
I was thinking we could go chronologically a little bit leading up to Level 42 days. And I don't think maybe people know, and I just don't know, but where did you grow up and was singing professionally the dream at an early age for you?
Yes, it was, yes. I grew up obviously in Scotland. I didn't grow up in Edinburgh. I grew up in the West Coast near Glasgow. I sang in a choir when I was really young. So I got the little sort of singing bug then. I had a wonderful choir sort of mistress, if you like. She was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of got a bit of a love for it then. And then I sang in a couple of little local bands, and then I moved to London and I joined a little group called Bright Winter, and then another one called Nutshell, and then that sort of just gradually. I did lots of quite a lot of studio work, did sort of session work as well, loads of it. Did sort of some advertising stuff, but some backing vocals on albums and things like that.
Right.
And then I did. I'm trying to think actually if. Yep, I think it came first. I did a little tour with. I toured with Kajagoogoo. Don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh yeah, no, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, we're very familiar.
But I was really interested, Annie. Like you mentioned, Nutshell, which would have been around '78, and you were that was kind of like. By the way, Nutshell is like the greatest name for a band ever. But that was kind of like, I guess it was Christian music, and you kind of
it was, yeah. Mm-hmm,
and it went from some of the groups and artists you play with, like Nutshell, Garth Hewitt, Adrian Snell, Steve Goddard. Mm-hmm. I guess they kind of ranged from Christian to folk, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So was this something that you were into as a music, or were we just like, this is my circle of friends and I'm a good singer and they invite me?
Well, it was my circle of friends, and
Okay.
they invited me. But also, I'm Christian, so it sort of comes, same. It was important to me to do it,
Right.
Right.
So yeah, yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that. Actually, it was we had did lots of stuff. Came to the States actually with Nutshell at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that must have been a pretty heady experience, right?
It was fantastic. Yeah. And
Well-
then after that, I'm not sure. Then that all kind of split up. That whole kind of gospel thing, and then I toured with Kajagoogoo after that.
Yeah. What made you jump to pop to sort of, going from church and folk to Kajagoogoo in '84?
No, it was just the sort of natural thing to do somehow. It just felt natural just to do that. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep singing. So, I'd had enough of preaching to the choir, if you like.
Well,
about expanding the audience, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Annie, I took a liberty of listening to some of the old Nutshell stuff, and it kind of doesn't whack you over the head with the religious stuff. It just
it doesn't. No, it wasn't that way. No. Actually, it was a lovely sound. It was. I think it. Personally speaking, I think it was a little bit before its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it sort of beautiful harmonies, and they were really good friends as well. So we had great fun,
Right. It was a trio, right?
It was a trio, yeah, a boy and two girls, yeah. Yeah.
And at that point, I think even before Kajagoogoo, you'd even sang with Cliff Richard. He's somehow gotten involved with those fellows, right? Those folks. Right?
Yeah, did some work with Cliff. I don't. Do you know, it's a strange thing. I never mentioned Cliff Richard very much, but actually, he's probably the most famous of all the people that I've ever worked.
I mean, how many sirs have you worked with?
Well, there you go. No, only him. Yeah, that was good as well. He was good fun to work with as well. We did quite a few things with Cliff. Quite a lot of stuff. Tended to be his Christian stuff. When he did the gospel, he used to do gospel tours and stuff.
Right.
And he would always get us in for that. So he had us in a little box, So he had the gospel box, and so it was a wee bit like that, I think. And he had his actual touring band as well, which he sort of used for other tours. So we were never really involved in that side of it.
Right.
But it was good fun while it lasted. It was good. I toured with Culture Club as well. That was a bit of a shocker. That one. That it was only for about a week.
Do you remember what year that was, Annie?
No, do you know? I don't. It was when Do You Really Want to Hurt Me was
that was the big time.
Right up there. So the audiences were. It was quite an experience. Little girls fainting everywhere.
Winston has the same problem
Wow.
now, actually.
Yeah, I faint when I listen to my Boy George music.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
I didn't either. I was going to ask you, Annie, as well. When you in the 80s, you're starting to sing with some of the mega acts from the 80s. What inspired you to start singing, or did you just start singing and just kept wanting to sing in the early days?
Yeah, absolutely. Just really wanted to always sing even when I was at school. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't really have ambitions to do much else. I just wanted to sing. So that's what I did. Yeah. But I mean, I was never intending just to do backup vocals. I probably wasn't more intending to perhaps do lead stuff, but that never really happened.
Did you write songs?
Yeah, I did for a little while. I did some demos back in the day with Paul Field, who was the man that was in Nutshell. Him and I did some stuff together, and some of they were really good, but nothing happened. It's not easy getting record deals and whatnot.
Oh, I know.
So I probably never tried hard enough, but I think I tried quite hard, but it never happened. So I was quite content with doing what I ended up doing, you know.
Very interesting.
Being able to sing and not really having the responsibility of the act kind of thing, just kind of being able to step in and do your thing, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was nice.
So I have a question, Winston, here. So you start doing backup vocals or background vocals or whatever for some pretty big artists. So did those gigs come about from, someone from one band suggested you to another, or was there a management thing where they were...
Well, Culture Club, when I auditioned for that, it was the girl that was in the band. I forget her name now.
Yeah, I remember her.
Do you remember her?
She's actually on the records, some of them.
Yeah, that's right. She's on the records, but they needed somebody else just for the live stuff. It only lasted a couple of weeks. It wasn't a long tour. The band were quite happy for her to audition whoever she wanted. So she did all the auditions so she chose me. So we did that. So it was an interesting kind of 2 weeks, shall we say? It was quite interesting. It was a bit of a kind of, it was Culture Club. It was a bit of a culture shock for me.
Yeah. Really. I think it was Helen Terry, by the way.
Oh, that's
wow! I forgot. I remember that name.
Yeah,
she was on Church of the Poison Mind. You can hear her.
She was. That's right. Yeah. She sang in all these songs. Yeah, and I think that she was really good friends with them as well.
Yeah.
So it was a wee bit strange being in there, but they were nice enough. They were quite young then, and they were a little bit naive, I would say. About the whole touring thing. And I mean, I think what happened was, "What Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?" suddenly became a monster hit. And they were playing in halls that were probably a bit too small. They could probably have played somewhere bigger, Right. So it was quite. Sometimes we had to stay back in the gigs for a couple of hours because there was so many people waiting to meet the band. So it was incredible. It was good. It was quite an experience, shall we say?
It's funny, you're kind of there for the big ride for them, even if it was a short period. You get to see that. And then you get to Kaja Gugu, which had just released Too Shy to Shy, Hush Hush, Eye to Eye.
Yeah, but it was slightly later Kaja Gugu when Limahl had already left.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was Nick Beggs. He was doing the lead singing then.
I saw a video of you guys live at Hammersmith, and Nick Beggs sounds fantastic. I was shocked. I had no idea he was such a good singer.
Oh, he's a great singer, extremely talented man. I mean, he's a wonderful bass player as well. So yeah, and he's a wonderful artist. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah, he's a good guy. That was really good fun because I actually used to work for them as well. Because they had a massive fan base, So when we weren't touring, I used to go into the office and answer fan mail and all that kind of thing because we were good pals,
Right.
So that was good. Enjoyed that. So then not that long after that, I auditioned for Level 42.
Before we get to that, wasn't there? I think you're on Tears for Fears. Well, at least one song, right?
Oh yeah, I thought that was after, but maybe it was that before as well. Yeah, I did that. That was a studio thing. Yeah,
and that was songs
Head Over Heels.
Yeah, it was Head Over Heels. Yeah. Oh, that was the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, I was going to say, Annie, I hear that song and I can't wait for the end with the la la la's. And I'm like, there's Annie. You can hear her.
Yeah, you can hear me as clear as day. Yeah, I know. That was really good. But that was with a guy called Sandy McClelland, who him and I used to do quite a lot of studio stuff together, and it was him that got me that particular session. So thanks to him for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think last week we were talking about Level 42's second album. And one of the engineer in some of the sessions was Dave Bascom, who did some engineering that songs from the Big Chair album for Tears for Fears.
I believe he maybe did. Yeah, I don't remember really, to be honest, who the engineer was.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, so there's that connection. And then were you offered an audition for Level 42, or how did that
what happened? I had a friend who worked for Polydor. That was their record company. I think it was Polydor. That's it. That was their record company, wasn't it?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And so she worked for Polydor, and she told me quite late on about she'd heard that Level 42 were auditioning for a singer, and I said, oh, and she said, well, I try and see if you can get one. Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the time they had the list of people that they wanted, and that was it. They weren't going to audition anybody else. But then they said okay, because they knew her, So they had me go first. So I was the first person to audition.
Wow.
So Mark said laterally there was no contest.
That's a great story though, because
Absolutely.
You're not a list. You're not on this list. Okay, we'll see you. You're first, and you get the gig. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing we did was a program in Newcastle. It was called was it called The Tube? I think it was called. It was It was a live sort of program that went out on a Friday night, and so we did it live. So that was we did Something About You live. That was quite nerve-wracking, shall we say? My very first gig.
Sounded good though, because that's recently popped up on YouTube and it's getting a lot of watches.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think maybe whoever's involved with the show has been posting really high quality videos. So.
Oh yeah, they must be. Yeah, I sometimes see them now and see these great big bows in my hair, and I think, oh, good, good grief, women, what were you thinking? But it was the fashion.
Yeah, well, we've all have those fashion choices we may regret 20 years later or whatever. So. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I think that must have been about 85 or thereabouts, because that was when World Machine came out, and then I toured with Level 42 exclusively up until about 90, 91, something like that.
We have it as 92, Annie.
maybe it was 92, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But can you take us to that moment in time, Annie? I mean, did you know that Level 42 was kind of, they were making a shift career-wise in terms of, at that point, there was kind of a shift for the band in terms of they were going to go more commercial, and they were going to have a hit that was going to actually go transatlantic. Did you get that sense that they were kind of on the rise?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Oh, it was very exciting. Very exciting. It was great. Yeah, you could absolutely tell that it was really happening for them. It was. I mean, I think for them, you'd have to speak to them, obviously. Probably it was quite scary for them, I would think. I don't know. Never really spoke about it. But for me, it was really exciting. It was really nice to work with a band that were really right there,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really good. Because latterly, obviously, it wasn't quite as exciting. Well, it was, but it became less so near the end, although it was still fantastic. I always enjoyed Level 42. They were great fun, and they were brilliant people to work with.
Yeah, Annie, this is Mike again. I wanted to ask you, you got to work with a couple of different iterations of Level 42, starting with Phil and Boone, and then moving on to Gary and Al Murphy, and then onward into the Guaranteed era.
That's right.
I remember first seeing you on Saturday Night Live here in the U.S. When you performed Something About You with Level 42. You were with Level 42 when they were trying to break the United States. What was that? What was it like behind the scenes with the band coming over here and basically starting from scratch?
I don't think that anybody really. I think they just did their thing, I really think they were just always really great live, as you know, and they just just did that. You know, there never seemed to be any great kind of. I mean, probably the gigs got bigger and the lighting got better, and we had great sound people and all that kind of thing. You know, things like that happened probably. But I wouldn't know because I never knew them before. So, because I came in at that point, you know.
Right. Did you enjoy? You know, you spent some time in the recording studio, obviously, with Level 42 and many other artists, and also touring. Do you like one over the other, or they're both? You love them both.
I love recording. I love the studio.
Oh yeah.
My favourite. I only did one album with Level 42, and that was Guaranteed. That album, Guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mike always just did the vocals himself on any of the other albums. Right. So it was just that one album that I did, which I actually think is a really good album.
I totally agree.
Yep.
I don't think it quite got the sort of the success it deserved, really, to be honest. There's some really nice songs on there.
Well, there's one here on Annie, and I'm sorry I'm distorting here, but not a kinder rise. Oh, She Can't Help Herself, You Really Shine.
Oh, right, really? The one I like best is 7 Years. I think that's a really good song. It's a kind of
that's
it's really great. Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I met up with a friend last night, Lolita Jackson. She was in town. She's actually a singer, and oddly enough, she goes to Edinburgh for work quite frequently. And she was over there a few months ago, and whenever she's in town, she's connected with a band, and they do a couple of shows at a local venue. But she was asking me last night, she said, well, when you speak to Annie, ask her, she loves your harmonies with Mike, and she was wondering, did that come naturally?
Yeah.
Or did you have to work on it a lot?
It just kind of evolved, you know. Yeah. There was just little bits, little gaps here and there that I thought, I'll just put this little bit in here, you know. And so, and of course on the albums, Wally did quite a lot of vocals as well, so that there were quite a few harmonies on there. And I think Mark did some as well, so there was plenty choice, you know.
A lot of their voices are interchangeable, I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
Like Mark could do high stuff.
Yeah.
Mike could do low stuff. Was there any direction, Annie, in terms of where they wanted you to fit in vocally?
It was a strange thing. I mean, I worked quite hard before I did the audition, and I listened to all their stuff, and I just kind of thought about it and thought, what do these guys really want? I wonder. And I had the total instinct that it was to beef Mike's voice up a bit live, you know. And that's exactly what they did want. It was just to sort of make the backing vocals a little bit stronger. And so there was very little direction, really. I mean, if I had been oohing and ahhing everywhere, I think they would have said, no, we don't want that. But I just instinctively knew what they needed. I was just the right fit at the right time, you know. I really think that it was meant to happen.
I was like when you did the ad libs at the end of Leaving Me Now.
Yeah. Yeah, but Mark had done them in the album. I don't know. I mean, if you listen, it's actually Mark that's doing these little ad libs at the end. So I was just doing what he was doing, really, pretty much. Maybe changing it a little bit here and there.
Well, I think by the Guaranteed tour, you were like, really, like, if there's a Guaranteed live video where you're really letting it go at the end of that, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. It was nice. I mean, there was loads of scope in that way. It was great. Yeah, really was. Very.
Did you have a favorite song like over those touring years, which you really liked?
I always liked doing Something About You, and I loved Leaving Me Now. I think really is my absolute favourite. Anytime I go and see them now, if they come up to Scotland, you know, and I go, Mark always says, "This is for Annie," and when it's Leaving Me Now, you know, nice. Because it's a really nice song. and I think that was Boone's lyric, that one, which is just a fabulous lyric,
Annie, you got to work with Boone and Al Murphy and Alan Holdsworth. Do you have any special memories with each of them? Rest in peace, all of them. Wonderful individuals.
Boone and I were really close friends, and I did Boone's album as well, the album called Tin Man.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I did all the backing vocals in that, and that was, for me, that was one of the best sort of vocal sort of performances I've actually done. I love that album, and again, it never saw the light of day, which upset me because I would have loved it to have happened for Boone. I think he really deserved it, But anyway, that's just the way things go.
Yeah, that was a great album, and
we all have that album and enjoy it, but it didn't get a big release or anything.
Yeah, well, I did all the backing vocals in that, which was great. It was great fun. We did the mainly in Boone's house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was all very casual. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
I think that was more of a chance for you to shine, in the sense. I don't think Boone was what I'd call a natural singer.
No, he wasn't. But at the same time, the way that, well, yeah, I liked his voice. I thought it was great. But
yeah, it was.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, I was really surprised when I got the album. I'm like, wow. First of all, being in America, if the band came, we could see them live, but we didn't have the benefit of a lot of live TV performances or interviews. So at that point, I probably had never maybe heard Boone speak once.
No.
So, and that's why I was one of the points I was making is like, yeah, you're kind of the mystery woman, because when we did see interview footage, it typically didn't include you or, let's say, Chris Mack or anything.
No, that's right. No.
So it's like, okay, well, we see this person, we love what she's doing on stage, but we don't really know anything about her, So, and at that time, without the internet, unless you had all these records to put two and two together. Oh, she's on that Tears for Fears album. Oh, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We had no way of knowing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite Annie McCaig moment is in, and this is not a sing version, Annie. It's not a performance version, but in the Fait Accompli video, you guys just come off stage from a very large show. I forget what the venue was, and Mark comes off stage and he's like, "I can't hear a thing," and he looks to you and he goes, "Can you hear anything?" And you're like, well, yeah, I kind of can, but I can't. You know what I mean? Like, you answered the question, but I'm like, how could she answer the question if she couldn't hear anything?
Well, we did have quite a few problems in that area, and it was particularly just Mark and I that had the problems. Mike seemed to be okay. Yeah. Mark and I both felt all the time as if we were not singing the right key and the right notes. And then when we heard things back, it was fantastic. We were absolutely singing the right notes. But it was a very scary time. I hope you get to speak to Mark at some point, because he would be quite interested in telling you all about that. I think it was because the sound guy that we had at the time was blind, and I think his hearing was so sensitive,
right,
that I think we probably weren't used to such good sound. I don't know. I've never been able to explain it, and neither could Mark. We never could explain it. But when that sound guy left and another guy came in, it was gone. It was fine again, It was very strange. It was a very weird time, but it was only Mark and I that felt it. Mike never. Mike was fine. So it was very curious.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, but it was also very scary, because if you think you're going on stage and you're singing flat,
yeah,
but it was the weirdest thing. But we really weren't. We were singing bang on the notes most of the time, anyway. Yeah.
So with the guaranteed touring, because you added, eventually Jacko came in live.
Yeah, well, Alan, I was going to go back to Alan Murphy.
Oh,
Alan,
yes.
Alan Murphy was an absolute joy of a man. Oh, he was just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And we were all so upset when he passed on, you know.
No, totally.
He's a fantastic player, great personality. He was just great. He was great.
We've heard, Mark always says what a great guy. And Mike, too. I mean, they both love the guy.
Oh, he was wonderful. Yeah.
You know, obviously you played with a bunch of people, but I think I read you were not a Meatloaf fan when you worked with him.
Did you indeed? Yeah, no, I wasn't. No, not at all. No,
we're not talking about the food. We're talking about the artist here.
Whenever anybody asks me who the worst person was that I've ever done a session with, I always say Meatloaf.
Why was that? He just didn't talk to you?
Well, I mean, there was 3 of us in there singing, and he just wanted it harder and harder and harder all the time. And I said, I can't sing any harder than this. And it was just, I think, I don't know, it just wasn't very pleasant.
So sorry.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Annie, my good friend Liz Patterson, she's a huge fan of yours.
All right,
and she sent me a million questions, but there's 2 of them here that I think she wanted me to ask you, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
She found a track on YouTube called "Surprised," which was written by Robert Maitland. Can you describe that experience of working with him? Because she said your performance in that was stellar.
Did she? Well, the performance in that was I went to the studio. So the guy that I know has a studio up in the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, and he asked me to do it. I went in 6 o'clock or something like that in the evening, and I'd never heard the song ever. So it was really just, we just did it. I just learnt it on the hoof, as it were. And he's since re-recorded that, actually. I don't know why I did that, because it ended up being a reasonable performance, I think, but he obviously had some kind of problems with it. I don't know, but he ended up re-recording it with another girl. So
she also saw a performance of you singing with the Slider Twins.
Yes,
have you done much work with them? Was a one-time thing or ongoing?
Well, that's ongoing. That's my favourite thing at the moment. It's the Slider Twins. There are 3 of us.
Talk about that, Annie.
The Slider triplets, then, yeah.
There will be some stuff coming on YouTube with the 3 of us. There's not at the moment. It's just the 2 boys at the moment. I came in with them about a year or so ago, maybe, and we did a gig in a place called the Queen's Hall here in Edinburgh. It's called The Lost Poets, and actually you can get this on YouTube. Anybody can. It's The Lost Poets, and it's 4 poets, 4 quite well-known poets here in Scotland, and they were doing their thing, and we were providing some music. It's actually a really nice little gig. So you'll be able to hear the Slider Twins if you
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there will be. We are going to record some stuff, so that there will be stuff on YouTube quite soon. So watch.
Nice. I know Liz will like that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I sing with another band actually as well up here. They're called the Rydales. In fact, we're rehearsing tonight. It's more a kind of bluesy kind of thing. So I do a few leads. I've got 3 singers. It's good. They're very good musicians. They're all about the same age as me, so we're all getting on a bit. So it's good fun.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows you're still singing and gigging, And,
well, I think that the good thing now is, because I'm not doing it in a professional basis so much. I mean, obviously, I occasionally do little sessions, but hardly ever. I quite like. I've kind of sort of reclaimed my joy of singing, if you know what I mean. It's just really nice just to do it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's you don't have to sort of, you're not getting paid for it, so you don't have a boss. Do you know what I mean? It's like because any time when you do backing vocals with any band, there's always a boss, and you can think, well, better, and you have to behave yourself.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. So,
like, I was even thinking, we haven't gone over everybody you've toured with, but or even recorded with, but Roger Daltrey, 85.
I did 2 albums with Roger Daltrey, yeah.
And if you ever want to hear some good Annie stuff, there's a couple songs off the album Under Raging Moon, 1985.
Yeah.
The Pride You Hide, you can really hear Annie on the Isles. And
that was, I did that with two other guys, a guy called Mark Williamson and another guy called
John Payne.
Oh, John Payne, that's right, yeah. And they were really good singers as well. We had a really nice a nice little harmony going, and Roger didn't want me singing high or anything like that. I think, get on, oh,
that's kind of intimidating.
Yeah, so I was singing quite low, but as me here, you can always cut through no matter what happens.
Right.
I'm singing quite low in these, so it was a nice sound. It was really good.
Yeah, and the song "Let Me Down Easy" was another one.
Right. Yeah. I toured with Simple Minds as well, in '89.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd that come to be?
I wrote Jim Kerr a letter.
Oh, wow.
I wrote him a letter and I sent him a tape, and I said, I'd love to work with you, blah blah blah. And
he's from Scotland too, isn't he?
And yeah, he phoned me and said, "Well, let's meet up." So I did. We did, and that's how I got that gig. Yeah, wasn't the best fit for me, that, though, to be honest.
Yeah,
I was still with Level 42 at that point. It was in between. It was before I left Level 42, and so it was in '89, that one. But we did some phenomenal gigs. I mean, we did the Mandela gig at Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was amazing. It was like the weird, when you were backstage, it was like you look one way and you'd see Neil Young, and then you look another way and it was Jackson Browne, and oh my God, it was like absolutely unbelievable. There's all these really well-known people.
So when you think about all the gigs you played, is that kind of the one that comes like first to your head? What's the big one for you?
I'd say that one of the best gigs ever, I would say, was Glastonbury, and that was with Level 42. That was a phenomenal gig. We all felt it. It just was great. The atmosphere, everything about it was just superb. I don't know when that was.
86.
Was it? There you go.
Yeah.
86. That was a fantastic gig.
Well, we've often heard Phil talk about that was his favorite gig.
That's right. Phil does talk about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was talking to Phil quite recently. And he's talking. He always talks about coming up to Scotland, but he never comes.
Well, he has a song on his last album. I think I can't remember the name of it, but I think Annie's in the title, and I always think of you when I hear that song.
Yeah, I would have liked to have sung a little bit in that album, but just logistics. I mean, he was down in the Isle of Wight recording it and stuff, and I think he went to quite a few places to record it. I think he maybe went to Vienna as well, or maybe they came here. I don't know, but he's quite friendly with a group of people that live in Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think that's an excellent album. I really like it.
I like it too.
Yeah, it is.
And I loved the fact that Phil sang a couple of tracks himself.
Yeah.
I thought that was great because he was scared about that. He was scared to do it. I said, "Oh,
he shouldn't have been scared. It was brilliant.
It sounds great." Yeah.
Well, we say it's great, but if you're not a singer like I am not, I would be. Oh, you never want to hear me sing. I would be so like I could never even do karaoke. So, even if everyone told me my voice was great, just too afraid to do it, something like that in public. So I
Right.
get that. But I remember seeing some old footage of the band early, Level 42, and Phil is singing some background stuff live.
Yeah, he did do that. Yeah, he did some backup stuff with me. Yeah. But you can never. I don't think you. To be honest, you could really hear Phil that well.
No.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe it's
no,
one of those, yeah, he's a drummer, just put a mic there. We won't really turn it up.
yeah.
No drummer jokes allowed. Hey, Annie, do you ever think about, like, we've gone this list of artists, and so basically, you've sang these songs live or in the studio, which are everything from Culture Club. You've sang on Head Over Heels and Tears for Fears. Something About You. You've sang Don't You Forget About Me. Have you ever thought about, like, man, what a career I've had? I mean, to be a part of that.
I do. I guess I should really, shouldn't I? I really don't. You know, I just sort of think, yeah, it was a great time, and do you know, I have hardly anything documented. I made a few little notes this morning because I thought, in case they ask me something, I forget. You know, so it was just sort of. I'm really bad at documenting what I've done. Really bad. Yeah. I couldn't tell you half the stuff.
All right, so I'll give you some more you forgot about. You ready? Sunsets on Empire, Fish from
Yeah, curiously enough, I just saw in the on a thing online, he's selling his house, which had his studio in it. And I saw it. I saw the little photograph, and I thought, "Oh, I've been in that house." So I did that. Yeah, it was Fish. That was just I'd never met him. It was actually Mike's producer. The what was his name? Gav. Who was the guy that produced Mike's first album, Changes, the first one?
Oh, right.
Oh, it was one of Sting's producers, Hugh Pagdam?
No, another guy. What was his name? Oh God. Oh well, it doesn't matter. But it was him. It was through him that I got that particular gig, because I'd met him because I did some live stuff with Mike when he did a little tour of the album, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was him that got me that gig, because he was producing it. This guy.
Was it Callum Malcolm?
Yeah, that was him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Well done, Mike.
Yeah.
Thinking about Level 42, just going back, you know, you did the Guaranteed album and the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see things were shifting a little bit in terms of popularity at that point? You'd been there for the quote unquote heyday.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was probably much as I adored the man, Jacko came in, I kind of knew then that my days were numbered, because first and foremost, he's a fantastic guitar player, and he's also a fantastic singer. Yeah. So I thought, I think it's possibly going to be curtains soon for you, Annie.
Oh man, that must have been a bummer.
Yeah, and that did happen, because things. I mean, obviously, touring is a hugely expensive business, you know, and the less people you have there, the better. You know, I mean, it's obviously, you know, you use the people that you've got that can do as much as they can possibly do, and Jacko was perfectly capable of doing everything that I did, you know. So, so I mean, I love Jacko. He's great. He's so talented. He's wonderful. He's a good pal. So I didn't mind because it was Jacko.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of like time as well, you know. It felt right to go at that point. Really, it just felt right. You know when something sort of is done, you know.
Yeah.
I felt it was.
Yeah. What was it? Go ahead, Annie. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to say they're certainly not done. I mean, they're still touring madly, you know. And I like the new lineup. I think it's great.
Do you ever want to just rush up on stage and take your old place?
Well, that is a wee bit difficult. Yeah. So, any time I've actually seen them live, I've thought, oh, I could still get up there and do that.
is there a, you've worked with so many people through the 80s. Well, first, what's it like to hear yourself on the radio for the first time?
Oh, well, it's quite exciting, really, I suppose. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get a lot. Anytime I hear any level 42 stuff, wherever I am, I always say, even if I say it, if I'm with somebody, I'll say it out loud, and if I'm just by myself, I just always say, "Oh, it's my boys." They don't know I say that, but I do.
Aye.
Yeah,
They do seem like, we've all had the chance to talk to Mark and Mike in different stages. And
oh, yeah.
we know that being a band is not easy. There's always difficult relationships, whatever, but it always does seem that they do seem at their core good guys, which is pretty rare, I think.
Oh, they're fantastic guys. They're really, really fantastic guys. Mark is one of the funniest people you could ever wish to be with. He's such a good laugh. He's really good fun, and they're all lovely. Every one of them, they were fantastic. Absolutely, yeah. And they treated me really well. I mean, I was the only girl in their ranks.
Right.
They treated me like a lady. Absolutely,
That's good.
So lovely. Yeah.
Well, I gotta imagine touring wasn't too bad because being the only lady, you have to get your own room, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. At one point, the crew and the band, swearing a wee bit and stuff and things like that, and they're all saying, "Sorry, Annie, sorry, Annie," and I kept saying, "Stop saying sorry. It's okay. I've heard it before." I was going to get a T-shirt with says "Sorry, Annie" written on it. So yeah, it was great fun. I've got a lot of good memories.
And what about fans? Did over the years? I mean, obviously they're there to see the band, but have you ever had like really cool fan interactions other than this one, of course?
Yeah, everyone always was really nice, really lovely, and I've still got a few friends from Facebook friends and stuff. Still one or two of them, sort of that still keep in touch. So it's nice. Yeah, it's really good.
And Annie, you mentioned the Slider Twins. Is that what you're going to be doing next musically, or what are you doing in your life?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing musically. In my life, I'm still recovering from my hip surgery.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I'm kind of retired, to be honest. So I mean, I do the odd bit of singing here and there. I had a shop for a while. I owned a little shop.
Oh, I saw that. That was Blue Bonnet or Blue Bonnie?
Bonnie Blue, yeah.
Bonnie Blue, sorry.
Yeah, we sold some lovely stuff, beautiful sort of Scottish artisan stuff. It was gorgeous. So we've stopped that about 6 years ago. So, but that kept me going for a long time, a busy time. But yeah, I've sort of semi-retired, I suppose you might say. So, or fully retired.
I was going to say it must be
still do any sessions and stuff like that I would get. I would be there like a short,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking as you've been talking, Annie, like you may have friends who have no idea about this past for you, and you go down memory lane like you are today with us. They're like, really? Does that happen a lot?
It really doesn't happen a lot. No.
Is it because you don't tell people, or they already know?
Tell them if they ask, but I don't sort of just tell them, I mean, I would tell them if they ask, but generally speaking, no. A lot of them know, because they're still my friends. They've been my friends for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they know everything that I've done. And in fact, actually, another guy that I worked with, a guy called Nick Battle, and we did demos years ago for him and this other guy, Simon, that he was working with. And just lately, they've been used in sort of a couple of these Netflix sort of programs, as background music.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, good thing. That's me.
Well, you used to do jingles too, right?
Yeah. I did a few. Yeah, I did quite a lot of jingles. Yeah, they're good. That's good income jingles, you know.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good scratch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anything we would have heard?
No, I don't think. Well, actually, there was a thing. One of the Roger Daltrey tracks was "Move Better in the Night." That
Yes.
one, that was used in a Miller Lite ad in the States.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
no kidding.
Yeah, and I was there at the time with Level 42, and I was watching the television in my bed, and I heard it, and I thought, what? And it was actually the backing vocals that they were actually using. You know, it was that little chorusy bit. Okay, well, this should be something that we should know about, and so I phoned this friend of mine that I'd done it with, and he said, right, leave it with me. And ages later, we got a phenomenal check from sort of SAG-AFTRA, whatever they're called, you know.
Right.
Yep.
No kidding.
The singer,
Actors Guild, yeah.
union, the Singers Union in America is really good.
Wow.
So it's just serendipity that you happen to hear this, because if not,
Yeah.
maybe you don't get paid, which is really
Absolutely.
not cool.
Would absolutely not have been paid, and I didn't just hear it once; I heard it a lot. Yeah, so that was good.
You know, I was bringing that song up, and I didn't, and wow, I had no idea that was even in a beer commercial.
Yeah, it was.
And also, you did his other album, Can't Wait to See the Movie, in '87. Roger Daltrey and Gary, for Level 42 fans, Gary Barnacle played on that album as well.
Oh, Gary. Yeah. Gary'd be a good guy to speak to. Have you spoken to him yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we have a list.
We
Yeah,
definitely have a list.
he goes quite a bit further back with Level 42 than I do.
Right.
Oh, yeah. There's some TV performances from
Yeah.
at least as far back as 81 or 82
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with him.
Also, a great fun guy. Oh my goodness, funny guy. It's
You
great.
just remind me, Annie. You know, you kind of came, as I mentioned earlier, to Level 42 during their ascent.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, they were kind of a very muso band. They were always a muso band, but sometimes they play instrumentals. And I'm trying to think of during your time, did they play instrumentals, and what did you do when that was happening?
No, they never. Well, Mark did his little kind of bassy bit, you know, at the end. He did all that stuff where he goes a bit wild and stuff.
Right.
There was I can only think of a couple of times when they did instrumentals, and that was when Mike sometimes used a loop. You know, there was a loop in quite a few of the songs.
Yeah.
And a couple of times it went a bit haywire. And so that's when they started to play. They had to, you know, because then the guys had to come fix things and blah blah blah.
Right.
They just started to play then, and that was great, you know, it's fantastic. But no, generally speaking, at that point they didn't do instrumentals. No, if they had have done, I would either have just left the stage for us,
Right.
or I would just have stood there like danced, tried to dance. So you know, I don't know what I would have done really. Can't answer that question.
You ever see any kind of the like the Live at Wembley video? You're in it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty famous video. And when you said dance, there is a part of it you are just dancing and everything. But do you ever watch any of these old videos?
Yeah, I cringe a little bit sometimes. You know, I was saying that, you know, I see that bow in my hair and stuff. I think. But anyway, yeah, I have seen them. Some of them are quite good. There's a lovely one where we're singing "Children Say." That's really nice. That was I always singing that song. That was another favourite. That was a lovely, beautiful song, I think. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
that is a fan favorite.
One or two of the videos. I haven't seen a huge amount of them, but I have seen a few. Sometimes scared to watch them in case I do remember one time saying to the cameraman at one point, "Don't, don't, don't take any footage behind me." With my big backside in there, you know.
Oh, well, I do recall though. You guys playing the Princess Trust show.
Oh yeah, we did
And
that.
that was a big deal. So.
Yeah, that was a huge deal. Yeah, that was great fun. I did actually another Princess Trust where I did some backing vocals for. We did the Blue Jays. That sort of what's their names? The guys from Justin Hayward and the guys in Moody Blues. The two guys.
Oh, right, yeah.
John Lord.
Unfortunately, with the Princess Trust stuff, you know, here in America, you know, they put out a video or something, but it would be like an hour, 90 minutes, and there were tons of bands that didn't make the video or whatever, or they would just show one song from Level 42, for example, but they actually did 4 or 5 songs. So, you know, it'd be nice one day if, you know, I don't know that the market's there anymore, but that you could get like these full gigs and you would see all of these bands. And there was always just a great house band put together.
It was a fantastic house band, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good. Yeah, no, we did. I did the Blue Jays, and who else? I managed to sort of Shaka Khan did one of them, but she had her own backing singers. But one of them couldn't make the sound check, so they asked me if I would do the sound check. So at least I got to sing with her in a sound check.
Yeah, that's still cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah.
So if fans wanted to find you now, because in our Level 42 groups, you know, we get lots of videos get posted, and you always come up in discussion. And of course, what's she doing now? And you know, someone will say, "Oh, she was doing this or that." But is Facebook, or you don't have a website? I would imagine, or do you?
I don't have a website. No. I mean, as I say, the Slider Twins are going to record some stuff, and that we'd probably put that'll go on YouTube, I would think. But it's not on there yet. No, probably through Facebook. I'd probably put something up in Facebook, and they can find me that way. I think really that would be the only way. I think.
That would be great. And, you know, as this stuff comes available, Annie, we can let people know through the podcast and all through the boards.
Yes.
You should know you're very appreciated in Level 42 fandom.
Well, that's
absolutely.
It's really nice to know. That is lovely. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. That makes me feel extremely happy. Yeah. Good.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us, Annie. It's been a real pleasure. And anytime you want to come back, just knock on our door. We'd love to have you.
Okay, well, I'll let you know if and when the Slider Twins stuff goes on YouTube, and you can let everybody else know. That would be great.
We will do that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, then.
All right, guys. So thank you. Great to talk to you again. And we want to thank everyone who tuned in. For Winston Walker, Mikey Payne, I'm Bob Constantine. We are leaving you now, but we will wait till you return. See you next time, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.